Tracy, back with I Survived the Eruption of Mt. St. Helens, 1980, by Lauren Tarshis, illustrated by Scott Dawson. I will be finishing the rest of chapter 14, 15, and then there's a little informational chapter at the end, so I'll be reading that too. But they're in a pretty bad predicament, and Jess is getting ready to go try and get help. Sam's eyes were closed. He was shivering even harder now. Jess gently took Sam's cold hand and laid it on her palm. She lifted Eddie's and put it on top of Sam's. She rested her other hand on top of Eddie's. She gripped both boys' hands tightly with her own. All for one, she said to herself, and one for all. For the first time, Jess really understood what those words meant. Jess would do anything to help the boys. She would even face the volcano by herself. Chapter 15. But which way should she go? Jess looked around, trying to understand where she was. The trail was gone. Nothing looked familiar, as though she had crash-landed on a distant planet, a smoking ash-covered land. The only landmarks were the smashed shack and the mountain. Dad had taught her to use the sun as a guide, but the sun was blotted out by the ash and smoke. Jess decided that if she walked with the volcano on her left, she should at least be heading back towards the parking lot. Then maybe she could find Mr. Rowan. If she couldn't, at least she'd be close to the road. It was so hot that her clothes were sticking to her sweat-soaked skin. Jess stripped off her sweatshirt and dropped it over a branch. Then she took a breath and set out. She'd walked between the fallen trees when there was no room. Between the trees, she climbed up and walked along their trunks. Everything was covered with inches of ash, and in some spots it was very hot. The air smelled like rotten eggs and smoke. Her back throbbed with pain, but even worse was her thirst. Her lips were cracked and bleeding, her tongue swollen and